All right, so Mike, you're a new artist. You need to begin building a fan base from ground zero. Where do you start?
Ah, what a beautiful place to start, right? Because you are essentially at the bottom, and there's no better place to start than the bottom. Um, you know, Essentially, nothing has changed other than the modalities of, the technology in terms of building a fan base. We all started whenever we've been building things, essentially one by one by one by one. We're trying to get those people to then go spread that information about, what they like about the bands that we've been in or that we work with. And so, nowadays, especially in the times that we live in, it's all done online. And, as we've talked about ad nauseum and the things that we deal with, it starts with having the best content that you're capable of at that time, making sure that you have, put time and effort into whether it's the songs or the videos or both, and making sure that you've got some, outside input as to whether or not it's as good as it can be. And once you're done with that and confident with that, then you got to go find some ambassadors, find some people that are either really happy that you've put this product into the world and want to help share it with others, or are just, really friendly and want to help somebody out. So many of the artists that, I've worked with and developed over the years, they got my attention because either someone in the band or someone close to the band had taken an approach of just no holds barred. We've just got to spread this information, in as many ways as possible. It used to be back in the analog days, whether that's printing flyers, going to record stores and, posting them up around town and heading to shows, and, giving out demo tapes or selling demo tapes or whatever it is, to, the MySpace days when it was adding friends and just trying to get people aware of what you're doing. There's so much noise out there that it's hard to break through. But continuing, once you get somebody on the hook, continuing to engage with them, to build a relationship with them that encourages them to help you then go spread, again, that sort of exponential effect. If you can find, if it's 5 people that are telling 5 more people, if it's 10 people telling 10 more people, that's really, to me, the most effective way to do this.
And it seems like the quality of the music is just has to be first priority. And it's one of the things that I know that I'm remiss in reminding people of that. And, if you're an artist, you put out something and you don't feel 100% confident in it. You're like, we're getting there. Is that something that is okay to just hold back or put out, but don't push too hard? Or do you want people to be moving and pressing and trying to build an audience as soon as they got a product that's recorded?
It's a little bit of a double-edged sword because, there's the factor where I've had artists that I've worked with who don't feel confident in the material, and then they aren't as confident in promoting it, right? So if they know that it's not the best that they could do, or at least of a certain standard that they hold themselves to, then they almost feel embarrassed to go out and try to spread it in the ways that is mandatory in order to grow a fan base. That said, we've all heard stories of artists, and I've worked with artists who, they're just perfectionists. And at some point, if they don't pull the trigger and get something out there, then they're never going to do it. And so I think you have to really strike a balance in between those two. That's why having others around you, maybe it's other bandmates. If you've got, 1 or 2 people that are the predominant songwriters and you've got other bandmates, but sometimes it's much better to have a little bit more of an objective third party. That's why a manager can be helpful. If you're in the infantile stage of being a band, you don't need a manager. Find a friend or two that seems eager to help you out and get them to be that objective, sort of resource that keeps you on track. We just saw, fortunately, this week, there was an article about Spotify where they were talking about, the thing that we all know, which is you can't wait 2, 3, 4 years between albums any longer. we've been talking about this for a long time, but now the data absolutely supports that you've got to get content out, and you've got to get it out with regularity in order for to have any chance of success.
So one more question on this. If I'm an artist and I've been trying to build an audience, it just hasn't happened. And I look back at what I've done and I'm not necessarily feeling confident in it. Is it better when I have that next song that I think is the one that could break? Is it better to build on what I've done before, or better to just start over with a whole new brand, take what I've learned, start from zero, like we were talking about earlier?
Wow, that's $1 million question right there. I have seen it work both ways. And, there's been times when I've worked with artists who I felt something was holding them back. Sometimes it wasn't even the music so much, it was the branding and the imagery, and we've done a complete overhaul, and that's worked. There's other times where we've just said, okay, we've built enough of a fan base with the given, nature of what it is, the name of the band, the socials, the way that they are, and just sort of pivoted. And I've seen it work both ways. Again, I think what it comes down to is when I had those conversations with artists about the name of their band, right? This is a key one. I did this a lot for a number of years. I'd find artists and I'd say, well, what does this name mean to you? And they couldn't come up with that, right? They would just say, oh, we threw two words together, And when they found why were they spinning their wheels, I was able to, I felt, tap into the fact that they weren't really connected to it in the way that they should be in order to give it its all. So I think there's some questions there to ask yourself. I mean, if you came up with a name and you came up with a logo and you felt confident in that, stick with it. If for whatever reason you can backtrack and say, you know what, this is just something that I grabbed because I was driving down the road and I saw two words, that might be the time to go back and really connect with something that means something to you before go ahead and pushing that out.